welcome back to another video. This week was a bit of a milestone for my channel. It's a very small milestone. I reached 100 subscribers this week, so I've seen others who have reached 100,000 subscribers this week, and that's impressive. So well done to all those guys. But it's still early days for my little channel here, and I don't know whether I'll grow to that size or not. But anyway, I'm just having a bit of fun, and if this is of interest to you guys in looking at the little projects I'm doing, then great. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. So yeah, I'll aim to put up some decent content that's interesting. I'm pretty new to filming these things, so the video quality isn't going to be amazing, I'm afraid. But if you can cope with that, and if you can see past that and enjoy the spirit of what I'm doing, then great, and you're very welcome. And thank you again for subscribing. So a little while ago, on my other channel, my original channel, Welsh Woodsman, I had a few little, it was a bit of a mix really, that channel. So I set this channel up as a dedicated channel for mechanical and optical things, little projects. I still have my small optical shop in North Wales. I haven't shown you any optical projects yet, so I will do. Those are coming. But first, I just wanted to show you, or I wanted to insert one of my earlier videos, which was based on this air engine. So that video will follow. It's just a little video where I refurbished this air engine that I made when I was an apprentice. It'll run on compressed air or steam, and I dug this out. It was in a right state, so anyway, there's that video which shows just some footage of me refurbishing various bits of this, and I'll follow up with this one. I'll get this running. I need to power up with my compressor. But anyway, I was in the loft this morning and I thought I'd show you this. Move him out of the way. So this is a training logbook, and this is from when I was an apprentice in the 90s. So anyway, it was interesting having a look through this. The reason I thought it might be of, that's just a sample page, that's not my work. The reason why I thought it might be interesting is because I've got the plans in here for making the air engine, and plus other various little things. So there's a drawing of a scriber that I made. That's the main shaft for the air engine. That's the bearing housing, flywheel, and what I've got in here is a breakdown of the operations that I use to machine them. So there's the bush, another bush, crank pin, there's a crank, conrod, piston, there's the cap that goes on the top of the cylinder, there's the cylinder. What's that? Oh yeah, that's the kind of like the what's that called? Swivel pin. So that's what the cylinder pivot's about. I think that's just a, oh yeah, V-block blank. I made a V-block, T-nut, V-block. Not sure what happened to some of these jobs. So there's one of the other parts. So that's the upright for the air engine, and the base plate there. So hopefully these are recognisable from what you've seen as a physical thing. There's the end plate, and just the operations continue from the previous part. There's the assembly of it. So I think I commented in my in the other video, which you'll see following up, when I was looking at kind of the workmanship of this engine, and it was definitely kind of, you know, apprentice grade. I mean, it worked fine, but yeah, you could see little bits and bobs that perhaps you'd do a little bit better with a bit more experience. This chart, this was a chart to show engine speed against air pressure, and I probably should have flipped these axes around the other way so that the curve would be a bit more easy to read. So the curve would go up there like that, it'd come up to a peak and then drop off. So this shows here that the peak RPM was at 3 bar, and it reached 1500 RPM. Stepped block. Here's a little clamp, which I've still got this. This is for clamping either screws or threaded bar in a vise that you want to cut down to avoid damaging the threads. Here's a little toolbox. Now, I've still got this toolbox, and I'll insert a picture of it because I keep some odd drills and stuff in it now. But it was all made, the base section was all made out of one sheet, and I had to make a piano hinge as well. Instead of riveting or spot welding a piano hinge on, we had to make the piano hinge as part of the lid and the box. So I'll show you that. I'll insert a little picture of that, and I still use it to this day. Chisels, still got these chisels. They've done some work for me, and that's it pretty much. Yeah, the book's not full, but I think as a first year apprentice, those are some of the jobs that I did. Okay, so I'll cut here and I'll insert the other video for you to see, and then I'll bring you back after that, because I've got a little bit more to say to you. Okay, see you soon. Welcome back to another video. I thought I'd do a quick video on this little air engine, but it's looking pretty sorry for itself. Looks to be absolutely covered in rust and gunk, which is a real shame. So I thought I'd do a video about this because it's a steam engine really, but I only ever ran it on compressed air through this port here, and should be an exhaust port there next to it. And the idea is that you could run this on compressed air or steam, and the cylinder pivots from side to side like that as the crank rotates. There's a flywheel on the back, and it pivots about this shaft here. And so I made this engine when I was an apprentice, and well, shame on me really for allowing it to get to this condition. But in my defence, it was on a nice clean bench in my shed, and I had an infestation of ivy growing in the shed, and it released all these spores and crap all over it. So most of this isn't actually horrendous rust like it appears to be. Most of it is just crap off the ivy. And so the idea of this video is to show you the before really. So it's looking pretty sad, pretty rusty. Internally it's all well oiled, the journals are okay. There's a bush in there with the phosphorus bronze bush, and there's one in here, and inside the cylinder should be pretty good because that's always old. And but in outline there's a step shaft in there. Flywheel locks on with a grub screw. There's a spigot on here on the end of this shaft which fits into that bush, which is pressed into this end cap. This upright piece fits into a slot. That was one of the only features on the base plate that I was allowed to machine. Everything else had to be filed. Obviously I drilled the holes, but and then and the holes drilled on the upright section, but the sides and the faces, they had to be on this radius at the top, that had to be filed round. These had to be filed flat and to the right angles, like that. The cylinder was milled square, the hole was turned, the end cap was turned. It's got a little tapered cap with a flat on the top. Has a spigot which is a press fit into there, and then there's a little crank wheel here with a pin that's threaded into there, conrod, screws into a piston, and they're the main bits really. Oh, and this little bearing housing here which has a phosphorus bronze bush pressed into it. So the next part of this video will be I'll do it as a time lapse of me stripping it down and then cleaning all the parts, and I'll probably put most of these parts up into the machine to give them a good polish and bring them back to their former glory, and then hopefully at the end we can have it running. Right, I'll be right back shortly. Well, that's all the parts cleaned up. I gave them a good scrub in WD-40 to begin with, as you saw on that little time-lapse bit. And then the flat parts I draw filed just to get them back, get all the crap off them. And then some of the round parts I put up into the lathe and just cleaned them up, so they're looking like new now. And on this part here I actually diamond lapped, so that's got a nice finish on it. It doesn't need it, but I did it anyway. It's been interesting actually to have a look at these parts, to have a look at my workmanship as an apprentice. I can definitely tell that some parts of them are definitely apprentice-esque in terms of the quality, and I've kind of left it that way really, just for it to be authentic. So if I was going to make all of these parts now, I'd like to think that I'd make them to a higher standard. It's just some things I did improve, like I've put little breakhead chamfers around the holes, which I left them sharp when I was 16. That's when I did these. It's interesting to see all these parts though. You know, that groove in there, I think that groove was milled. I was allowed to mill that groove. Oh, I can feel a burr there now. So, you know, when you fit in parts, it's no wonder, you know, sometimes things don't go together. If you haven't broken edges, you know, it doesn't take much of a little burr to stop things sitting down properly. So I'll be fitting this together and I'll give it a bit more of a deburr as I find the little bits and pieces that need it.
But it has been interesting looking over these parts. This square hole in this part and this square section here, which fits that end cap there, so that tenon fits into there. This was all hand filed, and I remember it took me ages to get it just right. And then this tenon here fits into that square hole there. And so not only does it need to fit into the hole, but it's got to line up with this slot that's machined into it. And then this needs to be square to that when it's all assembled. And especially when you pull it down with the 2 screws through the holes, you know, as I remember, it was quite a challenge really for a 16-year-old. It's not an easy thing to do. But over the years, you know, you build up the skills, the experience, and you know, your attention to detail improves. And but anyway, these parts are looking pretty good. So the next thing is to put it all back together. So I'll probably do a time lapse of that, so that you can see the process of it all going together. And I'll bring you back in a bit. There we go. So here it is reassembled. It's all cleaned up. It's been interesting to have a look at this. Just looking at an old project that I did many years ago, and I've tried to leave it as authentic as possible, in that I haven't kind of remachined it to make it more accurate or anything like that. It's exactly how it was, pretty much, as when I originally made it, apart from just giving it a little fettle and a clean up here and there. So it's looking much better. So this is well, it's a design that one of the college tutors came up with, so we ran these on compressed air when we tested them after building them, and this one ran fine, but I've not had it running yet, so it'll be interesting to plumb it up to some compressed air and see how it runs. If I stop talking for a minute, so you can hear on the compression stroke, it's pushing the air out of this exhaust port, and because it's quite small in diameter, it's making a bit of a, you can hear it whistle. So that means that there's a good seal between the interface between this cylinder block and this face here. So they're both nice and flat. They're mating with each other nicely, and there's a good seal. There's a good fit around the piston as well. So it sounds like it's working. It sounds like it will work. One of the only improvements really that I did make was to reduce the amount of end float between these two phosphor bronze bushes here, because I did face them off a little bit, so I took about 0.1 of a mil off each bush just to clean the faces up. So that caused the shaft to have a bit of end float. So I've fixed that now. So that's more solid. So that doesn't rattle back and forth in there now. It's not too tight, it's just right. So it's just got about 20 microns of clearance along the axis of that shaft. The crank pin's a nice fit in the conrod still, and as I said, the piston is a nice fit into there, into the cylinder block, and it all pulls down nice and square, so it's not too bad. It's just a few little bits and pieces here and there that kind of weren't finished, you know, with burrs and stuff that I mentioned before.
Okay, so hope you enjoyed that little video of that refurb of that little air engine. So just a couple of things in closing. I haven't forgotten about the lathe drawers. So if anyone saw the first video where I was setting up, making some panels, I'll follow up with those as soon as I can. I'm really looking forward to getting that project done. I'm just making a few adjustments to my workshop so that I can work in it a little bit better for fabrication work. And then the other one, and this will keep Mrs. Optical Mechanic happy. In our kitchen we have a Belling cooker. It's like a gas hob range type cooker. So I'll insert a picture of that so you can see what I'm talking about. Anyway, the knobs on the front for the hob, they're all plastic, and they're pretty ropey, so they're all split in here and stuff. They've got this, so the shaft coming out of the hob has got like a D-shaped shaft on it, and there's meant to be like a little spring clip that retains this on. Anyway, these are about £13 each to buy, and there's 8 of them on the front there, so you're talking a decent amount of money just to replace those, and there's a good chance that they'll just break anyway, just like these have. So I've ordered some aluminium, so I'm going to make some. We're going to increase the diameter on here, and I'll use a grub screw instead of the D form in there, and that'll just bear down on the flat on the shaft. And then there'll be some milling to put these little flaps on here with a nice rad, and then I'll machine a nice bevel around it, so it'll look similar to this. It won't be exactly the same because this is kind of tapered on the edges, so it'll be similar. I might put the compound slide back on and turn some taper sections on it, just to add a bit more interest to it. And then yeah, I'll machine this little groove in here as well. So yeah, it should be an interesting little job, that. And there's 8 of those, so so that'll be an upcoming video as well. Anyway, thanks again for subscribing. If you're enjoying the videos, if you're not already subscribed, then feel free to subscribe. Hit the notification button so that when I upload a new video, it'll let you know. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.